Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the newlyweds, Mr. and Mrs. Simon Doyle.
You must meet Hercule Poirot.
I suspect you invited me for reasons other than the fun.
When you have money, no one is ever really your friend. You accused me of murder.
He accuses everyone of murder.
It is a problem, I admit.
Hello, and welcome to the Senior Detectives Podcast, a cozy corner to talk about mysteries of all kinds. I'm Lauren.
And I'm Hannah. Today we'll be covering the 2022 movie adaptation of Agatha Christie's Death on the Nile, directed by Kenneth Branagh. IMDb summarizes the story. While on vacation in the Nile, Hercule Poirot must investigate the murder of a young heiress.
And I did not realize the man who directs this movie also plays Poirot.
He is Poirot, yes. Kenneth Branagh.
Good for him.
Professor Lockhart.
No way. What?
Yes, girl.
No.
Yeah.
That's Gilderoy? That is not the same person. I don't know what you mean.
It absolutely is. Yeah.
He's like, how far apart are these movies? They're like,
well, they're like 20 years apart now. That's 20 years ago.
That means we're old, Hannah.
It does. It does. It do mean that. I went to see the first Harry Potter when my stepmom was pregnant with my sister, and she's in college now, so wild.
You know, they're all grown. I don't know why. It feels like
it was like maybe 10 years ago
in my mind. It's not the same man. Wow. Okay.
Immediate Harry Potter tangent. Sorry.
Wow. Anyways, yeah, I also, so we watched this together. Well, for me, for the first time, you had seen it before, and I didn't realize that there was an older movie as well. Different adaptation, same story.
Yeah. I have not seen the old one.
Me either.
Same thing with like Murder on the Orient Express. I'm sure
it's an older one of that too.
I'm pretty sure there's maybe even more than one older version of that.
There's so many Agatha Christie stories. Why are we just redoing the same ones?
I know. She wrote so many, and yeah. They're the favorites though. I feel like they're the most well known. Yeah, I've never read the book, which I want.
Me either. So caveat, neither of us have seen the older movie or read the book. So
right.
I'm very curious because there's some things about this movie that, I mean, she grew up in a very different generation. And that is obvious to a point in her writings.
Yeah.
So I'm curious about if they changed anything for this movie. Because there are several people of color. They like literally talk about that. There's a gay couple. Like, I'm just wondering what the book was like.
Right. I'm wondering how much of it was updated to match modern sort of social standards. I'm really not sure. I own the book. It's on my little mystery shelf back there, but I have not read it yet. But I'll probably read it sometime this year. It's just that my to be read list also exponentially grows, like my list of video games to play. So
yeah.
But yeah, overall, really quite enjoy this adaptation. I feel like these
Me too.
two, like Murder on the Orient Express and Death on the Nile, the two Kenneth Branagh adaptations, I feel like they don't get a great rep as one movie critic like sites and stuff like that. And I mean, I guess I can see that, but I also feel like for an adaptation of what they are, I think they're great. Like, I think they're fine.
Me too.
I mean, I'm sure you could make like a really Oscar pleasing beautiful. I don't know. I
don't know if that's what this is though. Like what it's meant
like,
to be.
I kind of like them the way they are, honestly.
Yeah.
I don't feel like it's that serious with these sort of movies. And I think they're both very enjoyable.
I agree. I definitely liked it because I watched it again to do the outline. So I think I liked it more the second time through, and I honestly can't say why. But it's like the second time I knew that there was a certain level of cheese.
Mm-hmm.
And instead of being like, that's kind of weird, I really leaned into it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I actually love how campy it is.
Yes.
So
it's part of the charm, I think.
yeah.
Yeah. I would 100% agree. I enjoyed it more upon a second watch. And these movies are weirdly like, I think they make for a good kind of maybe not comfort watches, but they're just nice to have on. Like if you're doing chores or something, I don't know. I feel like you can kind of pop in once you know the story and watch and then step away and it's not a big deal at all.
Yeah.
We'll dive into the story. We start with a young Poirot in black and white to tell that it's old.
I guess that was why.
The past.
There wasn't that many years in between the present story and the old.
Right. It's like maybe 20 something years. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're in World War I and Poirot is in Belgium, kind of comes up with a tactical plan to help his battalion drive their adversary back. And it works. And it's, of course, in a very like clever Poirot kind of way. But he's wounded in the process pretty grievously. And his face is very, very scarred.
It's like along his upper lip and then up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And it's pretty gnarly. They show it.
He meets his future wife in the war hospital, which is they're very sweet together. And he's very,
so cute.
He's very distraught and thinks that he's no longer suitable for her because of his facial scarring. And she does not having any of that.
No. She goes, you'll just have to grow a mustache. And it had me tearing up within like the first 5 minutes of this movie.
And she was right, because I'm sure they still did the practical makeup of having him have the scars. But my brain with the mustache there, they might as well just be gone. It's a great cover.
He's got the like the type of mustache where it's like a little baby mustache and then like 2 little chunks of bigger mustache on the outside of it.
Yeah.
Like he's is it Mr. Peanut Head? No. What?
Who are you? Are you thinking of like a logo, like an icon?
Yes, like a logo. Oh, the Pringles guy.
Oh, the Pringles guy. I was like, the Monopoly guy has a mustache, but that's not quite the same mustache. Yes, the Pringles man.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It's like the little swirly ones. Yeah. I immediately forget he has big facial scars the whole rest of the movie.
Yeah. And I think that he does a great job as Poirot. I'm not like quite as familiar with that detective as I am with like Sherlock or even, Nancy Drew. But from what I can tell of his character, I think he stays very true to it, like the canon of Poirot. But I find him to be super likable and sweet and I think wholesome.
I've read 3 Poirot books. I've read The Orient Express. I've read The Murder of Roger Ackroyd, which is one I really want us to read and cover.
Okay.
And then I've read Poirot's Last Case. And I feel like he kind of straddles that line a little bit in the books, like Sherlock does, but he's nicer than Sherlock, of being a little bit like, he's not mean like Sherlock is. He's kind of like a little snippy and a little bit fussy.
He's posh.
Yeah, he's a little fussy posh man.
Yeah, yeah.
But he's ultimately, I think, much more kind and endearing of a person than I find Sherlock to be.
Selfish. I think Sherlock is like chasing a high. Like Sherlock's an addict.
Yes.
Whereas Poirot, I think, has like actual empathy for these people.
I would agree. And I think Kenneth Branagh perfectly captures that character for me, because he's just fussy and like, well,
he's OCD.
Yeah. And like when something doesn't go his way, he gets mad and like, but it's, I don't know, it's in a much more palatable way than Sherlock a lot of the times.
He definitely gets humbled in this story.
In big ways, big oops happen.
I mean, he's not a bodyguard. I just want to say that up front. I don't know why they're all acting like he's a fucking bodyguard. He's a detective.
And he's not psychic.
But-
He can't predict what's going to happen or what people are going to do. But
Yeah.
yeah. But yeah, so
Okay.
that's like the setup.
Yeah, you get some origin story for him, which is
Mhm.
fun.
Yeah.
And then we jump into London in 1937. So yeah, like 20 years. And for the rest of the movie, it's in color. He's got his very handsome mustache, and he is dining at a dance club where a woman called Salome Otterborn is performing. And she performs several times throughout the movie, and she's amazing every single time.
She is. She's great. She's played by Sophie Okonedo, and she's also like she's just one of those people that seems like they got the nat 20 on talent, where they're like
Yeah.
they can sing really well and act really well, and they're beautiful, and you're just like, okay.
She's so charismatic. Yeah.
It's like it's the Janelle Monáe of this movie.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. You see her daughter briefly in this scene as well. And I think she's very similar.
Letitia Wright.
It's Letitia Wright. Yeah.
Yeah.
The new Black Panther, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah. Same with her. She's just like effortlessly perfect throughout the whole movie.
Yep. We are introduced to Jacqueline, who's played by Emma Mackey. If you're familiar with the show Sex Education, I feel like it's what most people would know her
Oh, okay.
from. She's in that. She's in a bunch of stuff, though. She was in like the Barbie movie and stuff as well. She's dancing with her fiance, Simon Doyle, who's played by Armie Hammer. And Lynette Ridgway, which is Gal Gadot, arrives. Lynette, which is Gal Gadot, and Jackie, Emma Mackey, are old friends. They grew up together, but now they are in very different sort of classes.
Yeah.
Lynette is now a famous, very rich actress, an heiress, and Jackie, was she always poorer than Lynette? Or
I think pretty much everyone was always poorer than Lynette.
right, okay.
Because Lynette's family's business, like her father, is this huge business tycoon that basically made his living off of taking money from other rich people and making them poor.
Mm.
And she's inherited all of that. So I think even growing up, even though she was like in the same boarding school and stuff as these people, she still was wealthier than them.
Mm. That makes sense.
And she's like this absolutely drop dead gorgeous woman. So there's also like that kind of jealousy.
right. Jackie asks Lynette to help her out and give her fiance Simon a job, and is like, go dance with him, like just to get to know him, like they're meeting for the first time, like go dance with him, get a feel for what sort of person he is, consider giving him a job. And this backfires on her so fast.
Dude, this is a like chunk of scenes. I get like secondhand anxiety from it. First off, he's dancing with Jackie. They're basically like having sex on screen. It's so provocative the way that they are dancing together.
Yeah.
And
I
then-
mean, this is 1937, and I feel like this is like provocative dancing. If you were dancing in like a swing club and you were dancing like this in 2025, people would be like, calm down.
Okay, because
Do y'all need to go somewhere?
fucking each other. It's like get a room.
It's so blatant.
And then he turns around and dances with Lynette basically the same way. And I'm like, bro, while she's watching them.
While she's watching, and she can tell while she's watching, she's like, oh shit.
There's a vibe.
There's a vibe. And it's instant regret and jealousy. And yeah, also it's just like a normal thing to do in the 30s to like exchange dance partners like that. But
Yeah. Go
I guess-
dance with her.
yeah, I guess she expected them to just go like platonically swing dance
Normal
together,
dance.
which is
That's fair.
fine. But I don't know. I'm like, why did you suggest that?
Why did you push that to happen?
It's like
And
being at a
then-
wedding and telling your partner, yeah, go dance with that other woman. Be like,
Yeah.
I'd rather not, actually. I'm good.
Yeah, especially someone like Lynette, who I think she knows is totally capable of this kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So, I mean, 6 weeks later, they end up, I mean, it's a little bit ahead, but they end up getting married. 6 weeks.
We're moving quickly here. It's a very
Who does that?
immediate, like, which this is a shitty move by Lynette. I'm
Yes, I
sorry.
agree.
Like,
I
it's
totally agree.
forget the man, but like, you don't do this to your best friend. I would be very annoyed and angry as well. And her defense, I think, is that, oh, like it was undeniable chemistry and connection. And you want us to just ignore that. And it was like, yeah, I do.
Yeah. Or at least don't just like immediately steal him and then marry him in 6 weeks. Like
Right.
maybe go to your friend and be like, I think I got some feels. Can we talk about this?
Right. No. 6 weeks later, they are newlyweds, and it's not their honeymoon. They're just on like a trip, right? I think they're
I think it technically is their honeymoon / wedding celebration with loved ones.
Okay. But it's like an extended trip.
Weird. Yeah.
Instead of one big party. Yeah.
Yeah.
Poirot is in Egypt as well, and he is admiring the pyramids on the River Nile, and he runs into his old friend Book, who's played by Tom Bateman, and his mother Femia, who's played by Annette Bening.
It's a star-studded cast.
That's the other fun part about these movies is like there's so many big names in here. It's fun. I love a big like ensemble cast.
Yeah, when they all have like little parts, you know?
Yeah.
Nobody really has a big part except for Poirot.
Right.
And so Boog sees him and is like, oh my God, what a coincidence that we're both at this pyramid right now.
Which it kind of is. Fair.
And so he invites Poirot to join them for dinner, which is like part of the wedding celebration of Simon and Lynette. So he joins this like big cast of characters, which I guess we'll just like kind of introduce everyone else that we haven't already met yet.
Yeah, we can do it in one big swoop. So we have Andrew, who's played by Ali Fazal. He is Lynette's cousin, and he's operating as her lawyer for like the business side of things. So he's managing her in every way, basically.
They definitely set him up to give sleazy vibes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, nobody seems that trustworthy because they're trying to frame like, who could be the culprit, you know?
Right.
And then we've got Linus, who is played by Russell Brand. And this is the most serious role that I have ever seen this man in. He looks dapper as fuck in this character.
He does. Unfortunately, Russell Brand is a attractive human being because he's kind of a putz now. I really don't like him. But
really?
Yeah.
Bummer.
Politically. But he doesn't look like Russell Brand.
He doesn't.
In this movie. And it took him like a while for me to be like, that's Russell Brand. I don't know what it is, but yeah, he looks great. He's a doctor. He is also Lynette's ex, which is strange.
Weird.
But I guess they have like we're exes, but still very friendly relationship, which is like always suspicious.
Clearly pining for her and in love with her. And she's like, I think he's like her backup or something because she like gives him a kind of long hug in one of the scenes. And like, it's weird.
It's a little strange. I would agree.
Yeah. It comes in handy though, because he's a doctor. And then we meet Lynette's maid. Her name is Louise. We get a like really quick scene of her handling one of Lynette's like big old jewel necklaces.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you don't really understand that she's the maid yet, but you pretty quickly learn. And her accent is very French. I feel like even though it takes place in London, I guess, but Poirot is French. Wow. I feel like I went through that whole movie thinking that they were all supposed to be French. And I was like, why is she the only one with an accent?
I feel like I watched you like follow the bouncing ball and be like, oh, wait. Yeah.
Oh,
I don't know
okay.
how she and Lynette are supposed to have met. And she does a pretty good French accent, I think.
Yeah.
Rose Leslie is Scottish originally.
Really?
She has a really thick, like, northern UK accent.
All right. Good for
So
her.
I think she hides it pretty well. I'm used to her from Game of Thrones, and she uses, I think she uses an emphasized version of her natural accent in that show, and it's weird for me to see her have a French accent. So I think I'm disarmed by it. So it seems convincing. But yeah, she's great.
Yeah.
We have Marie, who's played by Jennifer Saunders, and that is Lynette's godmother. And she's here with Mrs. Bowers, played by Dawn French, which is Marie's like caretaker / nurse
For like 10 years or something.
Yeah. It's and it's giving the like they were roommates.
Yeah.
It's like
I didn't see it coming because I knew this was an old story and it wasn't even on my radar.
It does come out of nowhere because you're expecting it to like fit the times.
Yeah.
And to just not be addressed if that is what was going on, to like not call it out or anything. But yeah, it's like two older women live together and I'm just like, okay.
Yeah. I mean, they play it up for the like perception of it.
Mm-hmm.
Like Mrs. Bowers will complain about Marie a lot, but it's like very surface level. I mean, they're always together.
It's a cover 100%. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And then we were introduced a little bit earlier, but we're very much introduced now to Rosalie Otterborn, which is Letitia Wright. She's Salome's niece / manager. And she also went to boarding school with Lynette. So like they're buds.
So it's a big ensemble cast with like big names. It's interesting because I think Russell Brand and Armie Hammer have both perceptively, their public perception has gone very south.
Oh, him too. Armie too.
This movie.
Okay.
I'm not going to get into the Armie Hammer lore. I spend too much time on TikTok, but it's
unfortunate.
It's like the Baby Driver cast. It makes me so sad because that cast is like full of people that, I mean, Kevin Spacey, but like there's also other people in that movie that have had like allegations or rumors or stuff about, and you're just like, man, I love that movie.
I love the movie. Yeah. I mean, there's also a ton of other people that worked on it. Those are just the actors.
Right. It's just the front facing people. Yeah. Salome is playing to a crowd and they're having a great time dancing. And then Jacqueline arrives and there might as well be like thunder and lightning when she shows up.
Dude, this actress has the crazy eye thing.
She does.
Down. It's like unnerving. And she does it like in every single scene.
She's really good at it. Emma Mackey just has like really large eyes and her bone structure in her face also like she can just give the like manic eyes a little too well. She's really good at it.
I watched an interview once of the girl who plays Wednesday Addams in the new
Jenna Ortega
series. Jenna Ortega. Of her talking about how she played Wednesday and like she and
Tim Burton?
Nightmare Before Christmas. Tim Burton.
Okay.
Goodness. I was just trying to tell a little story. How they like strategized for the character and they had her like kind of look down often and then look like out the top of her eyes and not blink. And that's like this is how you make people uncomfortable kind of stare. And that is exactly what this actress does. And it is so effective.
It really works. She comes across as not just like crazy ex who's like following us around, but like she might murder us.
Unhinged.
She seems, distinctly out of control of her actions.
And it's so, I mean, clearly like Jackie and Simon seem very upset and distraught by this, but nobody else is like, go home. What are you doing here? Like, you guys need to get away from her. Like, we should involve the police, or like, nope. They're all just like, oh, Jackie's back.
She's back. Well, I mean, yeah, I don't know if maybe in the 1930s, actively, intensely, openly stalking someone was just
more common.
Like, maybe not as frowned upon. But I mean, this is like, she is stalking them with like heavy intent to harm them or bring them some sort of misfortune.
Yeah.
It's so clear that that is her motive. Everybody else is way too calm about it. I would agree with that.
So calm.
100%.
Kind of even Poirot. Like, they ask him for help, which again, he's not a bodyguard. Like, what is he supposed to do? And so he declines. He's like, she hasn't really committed a crime. Like, I'm not solving anything. I can't protect you.
I don't do that.
He does try to reason with her, though. Like, he has a scene where he talks to her, and she legitimately shows him a fucking pistol in her handbag.
And he appropriately tells them, just go home. Just cut your losses and go home, or at least somewhere where you're better able to protect yourself, because I don't know what to tell you, but she has a gun. She's going to kill you. She wants to kill you. Like, that is the bottom line. And I've done what I can. Yeah.
I mean, I get being really, really upset, but I would probably just cut them both out of my life and move on. But she's like desperately in love with this man.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the hold that he has on her is so tight. I mean, he like is trying to let her go, but she's like, no.
Yeah. And they decide not to go home and decide that
so stupid.
The better option is to move forward with their plans and isolate themselves on a big pleasure yacht that is going to travel down the Nile.
Agatha Christie really likes to do this.
Yeah.
Let's put them on an island. Let's put them on a train.
I mean,
let's put them on a ship.
She knows a good setup for you have to close your suspect list off.
Yeah.
And I feel like it does so much for the suspense when you have like a specific list of people it could be.
That's true.
It works really well, at least on me.
It's a great point. And I mean, it's like very stupid for them to do, because you find out later, like, I thought they had like privately rented this boat. No, it's open to the public. If someone has a ticket, they can get on the boat.
Right. It makes it seem like, oh yeah, that's fine. They'll just rent a boat. Nobody else has access to it. Or if they do, it would be really obvious that they are coming. But yeah, then you find out it's just a public, which, like, if you have that much money, just rent it out.
The boat.
Just buy it out. You have millions of dollars and it's the 30s. Buy it out.
Lynette says at one point, I'll buy the damn boat if I have to. Why didn't you do that from the start?
Girl, hello. Why didn't you do this? This seems so preventable.
Yeah. Anyways, so they go on their merry way down the Nile on this ship. And pretty much immediately, Lynette goes to Poirot and she's like, I don't feel safe here. Nobody's really your friend if you have money. Like, I'm thinking about all these petty dramas and grievances from the past. And like, I feel like someone's out to get me. I wish we would have just gone home. Girl, you still have autonomy. You could still go home.
Right. Yeah. I guess she feels locked in because there's other people involved now.
Yeah.
But when your personal safety is involved, like, just go home. Just tell everybody else, enjoy your trip. I'll pay for it. But like, for our safety, we have to go home. She's not going to stay and hurt anybody else on the boat. She's going to follow you guys home.
Right.
She doesn't care about them.
Yeah.
Anywho's, Andrew, which is Lynette's cousin who's managing her stuff, gives her an update to her will, which is immediately suspicious. Like,
I mean, she did just get married, but right now.
But you're an heiress, and it was a really quick engagement and wedding, and she rightly is kind of not eager to sign it right away. She wants to look it over really closely.
Friggin' Simon is like, they're both Andrew and Simon are like trying to get her to sign this, and
pushing too much.
Yeah, it's it's sus. And then Rosalie has to step in and be like, girl, what are you doing? Look at it. And she's like, yeah, no, I'm going to look at it. And then he's like, oh, you know what? There's actually no rush. Let me just take those papers. And walks away.
Which, yeah, immediately suspicious. Poirot is really taken with Salome, but doesn't pursue it. He basically tells himself that he can't have any dalliances when he's trying to be a detective.
Yeah.
And no distractions.
I think he's scared.
Yeah,
he
well,
got his
emotionally,
heart broken,
right.
And he does not want it to happen again.
Right. I don't remember many mentions of Poirot's wife in the books, but there were a few, and it was always in the past tense, and I was like,
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think something quite tragic happened there one way or the other. And yeah, I think he probably is quite scared of emotionally opening up in that way.
Yeah. But they flirt a lot.
Mm-hmm. Which is fun. I enjoy it.
yeah, it's great. It's unfortunate though. So he's talking to Book when they're like talking about that topic, and he's like, you know what, let me turn this around on you. And he basically calls him out for being in love with Rosalie. And, he laments that is true and that they want to get married and want to be together. But his mother, Euphemia, does not approve of it. Like flat out. She's a bitch about it.
Like, to add context to it, it's like an interracial relationship. Yeah. And he doesn't specifically say why she doesn't approve, but that is my first assumption is like, she's racist. She doesn't approve.
She doesn't specifically say that either.
No.
Which I thought was interesting. She's just like, she's not good enough for you.
Right. Which,
but
it's like veiled. But yeah, it's like, I thought it was racist motivations pretty much the whole time. At least right now, it's never specified why she's not good enough or why she doesn't approve.
She's also so cynical about love in general. Yeah. I guess her and her husband either divorced or maybe she's widowed, but she was like happy about it. Like she hated him. And she has put this bitterness on everyone else and their relationships too.
Love that.
Yep.
So fun.
I love a good jaded woman.
They all, along their trip down the Nile, they stop to visit Abu Simbel.
Is this place real? Do you know?
I actually don't know.
I mean, they have it like completely to themselves in this collection of scenes, which I'm like, is that realistic? If it is real?
Yeah, I mean, by today's standards, absolutely not.
That's true. It was the 30s.
They look super fucking cool.
Yeah.
These temples. They look like a Nancy Drew game. Like they just look like so distinctly, and I don't know, when you think of an Egyptian temple, that's what these look like. There's giant pharaoh statues carved into like the side of a mountain, and it's pretty crazy looking.
Mm-hmm. Dude, I mean, minor spoilers. Jackie at one point says that the wives of these pharaohs were buried alive with them in the tombs when they die. And I'm sure that's real because it sounds crazy enough to be real.
I don't know. I've done zero research on that, but hate it.
And she says, like, I bet one of them loved it. I bet one of them was willing because they were so in love. But I'm just like, because she's crazy. So that's why
I mean, like, she says stuff like that. And you're just like, oh, she's not thinking coherently.
What a horrible way to die.
It is a horrible way to die. Wow. I think I had always heard at least rumors or legends or whatever that slaves or servants were buried, but I don't know that I had heard any about wives. But I mean, frankly, with the way human history goes, it probably happened. Which is horrible. But yeah, Jackie says like, yeah, I bet one of them at least wanted to. And you're like, all right.
Yeah.
Why are you still here? I don't know. Why they haven't force her to leave the boat or something is so weird to me. Like,
well,
here's
so
your money back.
Arrived yet. So like, okay, so what happens when they're all here? They all have like a bunch of little scenes, but the main thing that happens is that Lynette and Simon are on this like walkway, but it's basically like a cliff. Like if they fell over, they would die.
Yeah.
Why they're here? Yeah, I don't know.
Seems like a bad place to try and hook up.
Yeah, they start like hooking up. Yeah. And then a rock, like this giant boulder from above them, comes down and almost crushes them to death. And then when they arrive back on the boat, Jackie is waiting for them.
And she's like, hey.
I bought a ticket. Because she could do that.
She could just do that. Oh, so after she gets there, they're like, all right, we're out. We're done. We're leaving tomorrow morning. And they toast with Poirot, who comes away from the toast feeling ill, which
I think it's so obvious he got drugged.
I mean, I don't know that it's supposed to be a surprise or like a secret that he got drugged, but like
he doesn't think he got drugged.
He doesn't think, and I'm like, this just the whole situation seemed like he should have been very cautious about what he was eating and drinking. Yeah. They all should.
He should have been like Mad Eye, like only drink from your own hip flask. What are you doing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's kind of down and out for the rest of the night.
We do learn, because he's talking to Jackie, like in this state of inebriation before he passes out. He talks to her about his wife, and it's like really sad. The most touching parts of this movie are anytime that he talks about her. Well, I guess so that I don't even think they were married yet. I think they were engaged. But anyways, he was about to be discharged from the hospital after his injury, and she was coming back to visit him like for the last time before he got discharged. And it's mid-war, so her train got blown up and she died on the way to see him.
Horrible. It's so sad. And
he has never been in love, or it seems like even with a woman since.
Gosh. Ugh. This is how I feel when I think about Terry Irwin, Steve Irwin's wife, his widow, who has never moved on. And I'm like, just kill me. Just kill me. It's so sad. Yeah, it's a big bummer.
And I think he does a really good job in that scene, because he gets all teary-eyed.
I don't want to cry on this one.
I know.
This wasn't supposed to be a crying episode.
His backstory really is quite tragic and emotional, and
it is. And Kenneth Branagh does this thing where he gets like a little. He never cries, but he gets like a twinkle in his eye, and it gets me so good.
They get all watery, and like he gets a little flustered, and yeah,
he plays it very well. He does. So Lynette retires early to go to bed, and afterwards Simon confronts Jackie, and she shoots him in the leg.
She shoots him in the leg.
She just shoots him.
And then she immediately, I mean, this is also so Agatha Christie.
She loves to have a scene where a woman is hysterical and needs to be like slapped out of it or something. Because that's how you comfort someone, right?
Women do, yeah. So she like falls into hysterics because she's like, I shot the man I'm in love with. And Rosalie takes her to Mrs. Bowers, who is a nurse, and she gives her like a sedative, basically, to knock her out.
Mm-hmm.
And then Book runs to get Dr. Linus to come look after Simon. And eventually, he comes and says that his bone has been shattered. So like he's down for the count too.
Yeah. Yikes. So basically it cuts to the morning. Everybody kind of retires that night, and we wake up to screams because Louise, her maid, has found Lynette dead in her bed. She was shot right in the temple, point blank, with Jackie's gun, they confirm.
Yeah.
Which conveniently disappeared after she shot Simon in the leg. In the chaos of that, the gun disappeared. Yeah. And also nobody seems to have heard the shot that killed Lynette.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, this is a big boat, but not like a cruise. I mean, like it's a boat. You would hear a gunshot. Like it's So it's weird that nobody heard it. And
they find that giant jewel necklace that was on her bedside table is also gone. So lots of little things at play.
Yeah.
And Poirot just immediately jumps into this investigation. Very handy. There's a detective on board. It's kind of sad. I didn't know this story beforehand. I did not expect Gal Gadot to die. Because she's such a big name.
Right.
And there's still like half the movie left.
But the thing is with this cast is like they're all kind of big-ish names. So if any of them get cleared off, it's like when people get killed off, you're like, oh well, like everybody has a big name. I don't know. Like it's the only one who really feels safe in any capacity is Poirot to a certain extent. I mean, I feel like it's pretty common for him to like still suffer injuries or something in his cases, but right.
Yeah, I kind of assumed because then Book like becomes his little assistant sidekick. I also assumed Book would be safe. So that's anyways. So as they go about this investigation, basically they start interviewing everybody and you learn about some deep dark secret or beef that they had with Lynette from every single person.
Of course. Yeah.
So we'll go through that.
To start off, Lynette had paid off her fiance's debts so that he would break up with Louise and she could continue working for Lynette. So like,
yeah, a test of faith.
Right.
Or whatever.
Right. That's what Lynette calls it. And the reality is she just didn't want to lose her maid. So she paid her fiance to leave her, which is shitty.
It's so bad. That one, I think more than any of them. I was like, what the she's a grown woman when this happens. It was like a year prior or something. Unacceptable. That's
Turns
crazy.
Out Lynette's kind of a shitty person. I mean, this is strike 2 already of like really shitty things that she's done recently.
Yeah. We learned from Dr. Linus, he actually doesn't really have any like beef or secrets. He basically just was still very much pining and in love with Lynette.
Right. His whole thing is just he's an ex. Yeah.
Yeah. He loves that woman. And he's actually pretty cool. Like he is a lord. That's his title, but he's all but revoked it. Like he's like, Lord is something I was born with, but doctor is something I've earned. And he like has spent his life bringing modern medicine to countries that don't have it. And like that's what he's made his whole mission, which is why Lynette didn't actually like him that much because she didn't want to do that with him.
Sure. So, I mean, that's not what heiresses want to be up to.
Right. So, I mean, he's a solid character. It's really weird that it's Russell Brand.
They gave him facial hair in this movie, and you're used to seeing him with facial hair. He usually has like at least scruff or like a beard happening.
It's gray in this one.
Yeah, but it covers way more of his face, and I think it's like sometimes he wears glasses, and it's like the perfect example of like how classic spies can disguise themselves with just these smallest things. Because you would think, oh no, I'd still recognize them but like no, it takes me so long to recognize Russell Brand when you give him different facial hair and glasses, and I'm just like, oh, that's a new person.
Talk kooky, he's very straight laced. Like it's wild.
It truly is. So Andrew, Lynette's cousin, had drawn up paperwork to give him control of her estate, which he tried to trick her into signing, which is a shock to no one. That there was some legalese in there that benefited him. But without her signature, without her signing that, her fortune goes to her godmother and her husband. And he reveals that he has a much bigger gun, like Jackie's
45 or something
gun that was like the most petite, feminine, tiny little pistol you've ever seen in your whole life. And he pulls out like a beefy pistol and is like, I have this gun.
Yeah, he's like, why would I use the little one? I have this for protection. Right. Yeah. And then we learned that Mrs. Bowers, so Marie's nurse / lover, had great wealth once. Like she also was very wealthy, but Lynette's father was responsible for the decline of her family's wealth and ended up laying off thousands of her family's employees. So that's shitty. Yeah. And then he calls them out for like having a relationship, which they seem like, I think, understandably very scared that he has put this together. But I mean, he doesn't do anything about it. And it doesn't really come back, which I appreciated.
And this is also the point in the film where you are told that she is actually Marie's partner, that they are together.
Yeah.
And then Salome and Rosalie once got kicked out of a pool because young Lynette complained about sharing it with a colored. Rosalie became her friend later when they were in boarding school together.
Yeah. She says like she was a kid who was taught by a bad person, like her father. And,
sure.
You know, and so when we became friends in boarding school, like we put that behind us, you know, but obviously they still remember it.
Yeah.
And this is like one of the things that I wonder if it's in the book.
Right.
You know,
that's an excellent question. Cause I mean, I'm sure the racism element played into it, but did they really forget about it as much as they played off in the movie?
Right.
Or is it more of a like grudge that they've just been holding for like 20 years? I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
But a third gun on the boat.
Yeah.
So Salome, her look, she always has a turban on. She always has like her hair wrapped up and she keeps a small gun in there.
Yeah. Same size and like type as the murder weapon. So now he's like, oh, well, we assumed it was Jackie's gun, but maybe
not.
Yeah. But I mean, Salome's character is so wonderful. I mean, not for a second did I suspect her.
Unless some bigger grievance was revealed later in the movie. She just seemed like a woman who had her shit together in a way where she wouldn't have given a fuck about Lynette and some racist shit that she pulled in the past. Because like I'm sure this woman probably deals with racists every day.
All the time.
And she's not murdering them. So it never felt like enough. And she never felt like the right type of person to try and kill Lynette. To me.
I agree. And she even says that. She's like, if I, you know, offed like every person that said something like that to me, I mean, it'd be all over. So
right. I would be in jail because I'd probably be dead already, honestly.
So we take a little break from the interviews because the gun, Jackie's gun, the one that disappeared, has been recovered from the bottom of the river. And the necklace that was stolen has reappeared in Euphemia's room randomly. Which why her room? I don't actually know.
I think they say at some point in the movie she maybe was like the least likely to want to steal the necklace.
Oh.
So whoever did steal it, like put it in there so that when it was found in her room, it would feel like an accident and it wouldn't feel like she would get blamed, whereas a lot of other people would.
Okay. I like that explanation.
Yeah. So it's revealed here that Euphemia had hired Poirot to investigate Rosalie because she doesn't approve of her for Book, for her grandson, son.
So yeah, this is why Poirot was in Egypt and why he was at the club, the dance club at the beginning.
Right.
And so it's like this is our reason for our main hero to be with this group of people.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like it.
No.
I feel like it's so beneath Poirot. Why would he ever take this case, quote unquote, that he calls it?
I also feel like it feels weirdly out of character for him. And maybe I just don't understand his character well enough, but it seems like when prompted with this job, he would have gone to Book and told him, she tried to hire me to do this.
Yeah.
But I think it's kind of played off in the movie as like he's also just trying to look out for his friend, and that like if there is some suspicion, he just wants to make sure Book's not being taken advantage of in some way.
Right.
But I just don't buy it. I don't buy it. I don't know.
I don't-
It's flimsy. Is how I feel
it's a
about
weak reason for him to be here.
but it's a reason, I guess.
I feel like he would just politely decline. But
Right.
anyways, he doesn't. He's here. And the mom is like, she sucks. I hate her. And he's like, no, actually, she's awesome. And I totally support. And the mom is like, well, I still don't.
Right.
And then Rosalie's like, fuck you, bro. How dare you? And I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. Because why did he ever take that jump?
Right. The nuance here is so good because he like comes to Rosalie's defense to be like, no, she's a great person. She's totally great for Book. Like they would be excellent together. She's a wonderful person. Everything I've found out about her has been great. And I think he's expecting Rosalie to be like,
oh my God, thank you.
Thank you. She's like, what the fuck? Fuck you. Like she's appropriately
the audacity.
Angry. Yeah. Appropriately angry. And she is mad at Poirot because of this.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a back and forth in that scene, but it's all out in the open now.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah. I also enjoy that. I enjoy that they made her angry. I wonder if that happened in the book or if that was changed because of, modern standards.
Sure.
And I like that they had her be upset with like dignity and grace.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she's not the hysterical woman trope that we're used to seeing here.
Yeah.
I like how her character is written.
Yeah, me too.
But
here we go. Death number 2.
They just start coming in now. So death number 2, the way that they reveal that there's a new body is so creepy.
It's terrible.
She's in the paddle of the boat. It's like a big riverboat kind of style. You just see a body like come over the top of the paddle. It's very grim.
It's terrible.
And it's Rose. It's not Rose. The actress's name is Rose.
Right.
Which gets me that we have a Rose Leslie and a Rosalie. It fucks me up. It's Louise's body Lynette's maid.
They determined that she was murdered on board with the doctor's scalpel and then thrown over, which I know is like, oh my God, the doctor did it. But, as mystery people, we're immediately like, okay, so that means the doctor didn't do it.
Doctor's innocent. Because why would you like use the most identifiable thing? Yeah.
And they also find a lot of money in her pocket.
Which is strange.
Yeah, weird.
Poirot is doing his final interview with Book. And we learn that Book is the one who stole the necklace because he found Lynette already dead. And
use the opportunity.
Right. Use the opportunity to steal the necklace. And then just didn't alert anybody that she was dead. And then when he tried to return it, he saw Louise get murdered. And at the start of his confession, he tells Poirot that he could never understand what people will do for love. And he's like about to give very vital information. Of course.
Who killed Louise? Like he witnessed it.
Yeah. And then you see like a gun get like stuck through a grate and go off, and Book is shot and killed right in front of Poirot. And he is so understandably distraught by this. I feel so awful for it's one thing that Book dies, but it's another that it happens all right in front of Poirot and that he's unable to help him in any way. It's horrible.
And Kenneth's facial acting in this scene is so good. He goes like, I don't know the French, is it mon ami? Like, ami Book. And like, he's like, it's so sad.
He's yeah. And like you said earlier, we thought Book was locked in safe. Mark
Safe. He's Poirot's assistant.
He's the Watson.
Like in love with Rosalie. They're good. They're chill. I could not believe he died, and it actually made me angry. I hate killing off people just to kill off people.
Right. Yeah. Well, I feel like I'm glad you mentioned that, the whole thing with Rosalie, because I feel like that really cemented it for me that he was safe, because like that whole relationship dynamic and plot line had just like come out,
like
and it was all out in the it was all out in the open now. You know, it was like, oh great, like so they can actually be together now, and
then he fucking gets murdered, and Poirot is just like, you can tell it hits him the hardest because he now feels like he has failed his friend.
Yeah,
I mean, he was literally talking to him when it happened and like didn't notice. You know, it's so bad, and then everyone starts blaming Poirot, and it's really frustrating. They're all like, you failed. How could you how many people have to die before you figure it out? Like, and I'm just like, guys, he wasn't even supposed to be here. And now you're blaming him. Like, give him a break.
Yeah. Everybody blaming him. They start blaming him as soon as Lynette dies.
Yeah.
And it's like, he didn't really have any involvement in protecting her until she died and a murder investigation was on. Right. And then it was like, okay, so.
And then he's a detective. He also got fucking drugged, bro.
Right, right. Yeah, he was also drugged. So. They put so much pressure on him being able to solve it immediately and prevent deaths that way. And it's
only been one day.
It's not fair. Right. It all happened very quickly.
Even the end of the next day.
Right. They found Lynette's body this morning.
Yeah.
And by that night, Book is also dead.
And Louise. So that part really, it's like the injustice of it. It really upset me on behalf of Poirot. So I don't feel like he deserves that. I understand it's human nature to like want to blame somebody, and he would be the logical choice. But
he is sort of the logical scapegoat, but it's frustrating. And
it is.
You feel so bad for him because obviously if he would have chosen to protect anybody on this boat, it would have been Book first and foremost. Like, but he gets really, I think, fueled by his anger and his frustration at both himself and everyone else for blaming him. And he gets very, like, he takes control here.
He does.
He locks them all in the dining room to do his big reveal.
Yeah. He has his moment, as all the detectives do.
Yeah. Because he has actually figured it out at this point.
Which is unfortunate that it happened so late. But I think Book kind of gave him the
last piece of the puzzle.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So before we get the reveal of like the ultimate culprit, we do learn that it was cousin Andrew that pushed the rock off the temple of Abdu Simbel. And it was like a spontaneous act of desperation. Like he saw them below and was just like, push. And then he like immediately regretted it. And he was like, oh God, I can't believe I did that. I'm so glad I missed. Like, eesh. It wasn't me though.
He's such an idiot because you didn't get her to sign the papers yet, you dumbass. Why are you trying to kill her already?
What good would killing her do?
Stupid. It's dumb. Yeah. But he did seem to genuinely regret it, which like, I hope so. You tried to murder two people, but Simon, unsurprisingly, has been planning this all from the start.
He was fishy, just...
Right. Him and Jackie on this boat.
Yeah.
Like, out of all of the suspects, like, we know Jackie has openly threatened to kill them and know that, like, she's stalking them. But, like, Simon also, the whole thing, the wedding happened so fast and, like, she's so wealthy that it just seemed like such a red flag.
She pushed them together at the beginning. I do think I called it about, like, halfway through the movie when we were watching it
I don't even think
together.
halfway.
Yeah.
You called it pretty early, but then I think you second guessed yourself, or the movie made you.
It was a theory.
Stop thinking that was your theory. Yeah.
Yeah.
You did call it exactly. very early on, and I was just like, oh. I have no poker face, so I just pretended to like be half listening,
twiddling with something, or I don't remember, but yeah. Yeah, and so I mean, and even if he wasn't like this huge mastermind, which he's not, it turns out that like Jackie is the actual true one with the brain. He's definitely just like a sleazy dude. Like the fact that he would do this at all is gross. So, you know, I didn't really trust
guilty,
him from the start.
But not as guilty as Jackie.
She's like actually nuts.
Yeah, this is all her plan, and he just did what he was told, basically. So he faked being shot in the leg. She like obviously did not actually didn't actually shoot him, shot a blank, and then they had like a red dye. Somebody on the boat has a painting set, and the red paint is like missing.
Goes missing.
Which early on, which is like, I love that shit. I love it so much. So he never got shot in the leg. So he ran to the other end of the boat, shot Lynette while the other person was running to get the doctor for him, because everyone left the room and he was just left there waiting. Ran down the boat, shot Lynette, killed her, ran back, and then actually shot himself in the leg before the doctor could get there, so that it wouldn't, I mean, obviously that would have, his cover would have been blown immediately. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then threw the gun overboard.
Yeah. And claimed that it disappeared. So, and then he also like reloaded one of the bullets to make it look like there had only been 2 shots fired. So, I mean, just like intense planning. And he shot himself in the leg.
Right. He has to be a little bit off kilter to be willing to shoot himself in the leg to pull off this whole scheme. Because even if I was willing to go along with this crazy ass plan, I would be like, is there not a formula that doesn't involve me shooting myself in the leg? Can we come up with some other sort of plan?
Yeah.
No, he just
I think
goes
it's
through it.
Insanity on both of their parts, because okay, he has to like really be involved in this like acting plan. Like he's had to keep up appearances for, you know, like over a month. And then actually harm himself in order to, I mean, they're trying to get Lynette's money, right? That's like the whole point.
Right.
But then Jackie also, okay, she's so in love with this man, right? She's willing to let him go fuck another woman for 6 weeks and pretend like he's in love with her and make her be in love with him. I don't buy it. She's crazy. There's no way she would be okay with that.
It's a wild plan. And I don't know how everything we've learned about Jackie's character, I feel like, tells us that she wouldn't swallow that pill very well of him having to go be with somebody else for so long. And
yeah,
I have to assume that he was like stealing away so that they could fuck, because ain't no way she also went like totally without him
for 6 weeks.
For 6 weeks.
Yeah.
I don't know. I agree.
So he's just like with both of these. If you think about it like that, I'm like, whoa.
I guess it worked well in that you're like, oh, Jackie would never do that because she's so crazy and like possessive of this man that she would never like let him do that, but she let him do that.
Yeah, she did. But I mean, okay, so here's how crazy she is. So what happened was Louise had seen Simon. She was out smoking on the balcony. She had seen him go in and kill Annette. And so he paid her off for like keeping quiet, because she also kind of hated Lynette. So she agreed. She said, I will take your money and I will keep my mouth shut. But
thank you very much. Yep.
Instead,
smart
Jackie took the opportunity to murder her.
She didn't want that loose end.
Yeah, which I guess is fair if you're already going that far into it. But then Book witnessed that happened. So before he could name Jackie as the killer, she also killed him.
We have like a standoff situation
the
happening.
Spider-Man scene.
Yeah, it makes me think of like The Office or Spider-Man, where they're all standing there because Poirot and Salome are pointing guns at Jackie and Simon, and Jackie's pointing one right back at them. Simon tries to convince her to run with them. Like, we'll leave, we'll go on the run. She's like, I can't do it. We've already been separated for 6 weeks, supposedly.
We can't do it for the rest of our lives. And she like goes to give him a hug. She's like, they like kiss, and then she hugs him. She's like, oh my God, I love you. And then she just like points that gun right at his back, through both of them, shoots.
Kills both of them in one go. She really had, like, it's the definition of like, if I can't have you, no one can. And also you can't exist without me having you. And I don't want to exist without having you either. So
yeah. So she's wild.
Yeah. Wow. That's loving somebody, I guess. It's a yeah, I mean, like, that's one way to do it.
Possession.
It's not a healthy way.
No.
I wouldn't recommend it. So that pretty much wraps up that whole scene, basically.
It's unfortunate because, I mean, I'm sure people feel like justice has been served, but also just like your culprit's dying. Or maybe it's less like I feel like justice has been served and maybe just more of a relief that like they're out of their lives. But I find it dissatisfying because I'm just like, man, they don't even, there's no consequences. They just are gone. I mean, they died, so I guess that's a consequence. But like,
that is the consequence. Yeah. But yeah, it's like you want them to face real life consequences and justice for what they've done. And from Poirot's perspective in regards to like Book did not have to die.
No.
And the fact that they both ended up dead anyway, it's like, well, you could have killed you both like 7 weeks ago and we could have been done with all of this. Like, none of this had to happen.
Nobody else had to die. You're right, especially Book. He wasn't involved with them at all. He was just wrong place, wrong time.
Yeah, truly.
All because he was trying to make a life for him and Rosalie. And then be a good person and take it back and like return the necklace. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a real bummer. And I agree. It's not my perfect, ideal, preferred ending of any sort of thing where there's a culprit or somebody gets caught when they just die. I feel like if they get killed by the character that they wronged, it's a little bit better because there's like some like sense of like revenge there, but it still feels like
Yeah. So then we get like, it's basically an epilogue. It's like what happened to these characters afterwards. Poirot vows to keep Andrew's secret because apparently he's been like low-key stealing from Lynette over the years. And he's like, look, I'm not going to tell anybody as long as you settle her affairs honestly and you pay back what you have stolen. And he's like, okay, that's better than jail. Thanks.
Which, I don't know. I feel like I would have probably just turned a blind eye to this. I would have been like, valid.
Yeah.
Like, if somebody wants to pick off a fucking billionaire, it ain't my business.
And they like grew up together. They literally have like childhood photos together and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, they're family. And like, it feels weird that wealth didn't extend to him in a way that it hasn't yet. You know what I mean? Like she was so filthy wealthy that like it should have, him being her cousin should have extended to him already.
Yeah.
So Marie has inherited everything.
All of it. Because her husband's dead now. So.
And Euphemia and Rosalie really are bonded together over the grief of Book, which
it's really sad.
Is so a real shame. It just sucks that like they have to bond over his death when like she could have just like tried to get to know Rosalie in a genuine, honest way and decide for herself if she was a good match for Book. And I mean, not that that's her decision to make anyway, but like you could have done this in an authentic way. And it sucks that the way that you do get to know this person is bonding over the death, which I feel like is a little bit caused. Like, this was all not necessarily her fault or anything, but the collection of people being here and Poirot being here and like the whole recipe for this, it's all her. So,
and she doesn't take any accountability. She blames Poirot, but it's like, the reason he was stealing the necklace is because you threatened to keep money from him because he wanted to be with this woman that you refused to give a chance.
And so that's why he was, stealing the necklace, and why he was returning the necklace and therefore witnessed a murder.
She's like tangentially responsible.
Right. It's not actually her fault, but I would be holding some real beef with that lady. The fact that Rosalie and her are bonding over his death, I'd be like, no, fuck that lady. I don't want anything to do with her.
I think I'm out. Yeah. But then at the same time, like, in her mind, this was all to protect her son. So she's like, she clearly loved him a lot and is like grieving him. So it's hard. And then the scene with the three of them, like, all looking at each other, they don't even really say anything. But like, Poirot is tearing up.
They're all so sad.
It's yeah.
Yeah.
Sucks.
Right. I think it would make more sense to me if Rosalie turned to Poirot as someone to grieve with over Boop.
She does not.
But she does not.
That girl says, I don't want you to be happy. You are selfish and vain, and all I care about is you finding out who killed him. I don't give a shit about you.
Yeah. She really took it to heart that he investigated her.
Right. But now she's, I mean, I guess she looks at him with like empathy at the end. So I think she's forgiven both of them in lieu of this.
And we cut to Poirot kind of coming back to the beginning. We see him in a club. He's watching a rehearsal of Salome's, and he's got a clean shaven face.
Yeah.
He's opening up.
Yeah. He went to see her.
Yeah.
It's a very sweet ending.
It is. It's very sweet. I enjoy how much more emotion Poirot puts into his stories.
Yeah.
I feel like you can't help but compare him and Sherlock because they are like the two most well-known detectives. Mm-hmm. I really want to cover a Miss Marple book because I feel like that's the other most well-known detective. And I've never read any of the Miss Marples, but yeah, you can't help but compare them. And Poirot to me is so much more warm of a character, and I really enjoy him a lot more than Sherlock, I think.
Yeah.
I think Sherlock's stories I'm so much more used to and are so comfort. Like it's, I don't know, like I'm just more familiar with Sherlock. So I think I prefer Sherlock in that way. But as far as the character goes, Poirot is way better in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, they're different. Poirot's backstory is so tragic and sad. It's kind of tough to watch.
Yeah.
But I agree that I think I like when your hero is actually a hero.
Mm-hmm. He's a good person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hi, Marks. I wonder if they're going to do another one at some point.
I think they already have.
Oh.
Venice. In Venice. I forget what the title is. A Haunting in Venice.
Oh, wow. That sounds a lot like The Phantom of Venice.
I know. That one also has a really big cast, of course, because it's like the trademark of these movies. But it's Michelle Yeoh, Tina Fey, Jamie Dornan. Ooh. Yeah, lots of people. Kelly Riley.
Okay, gosh, we'll have to watch it.
Yeah, we will. So yeah, maybe we'll cover that one in the future. But next time, we're going to be talking about The Vanishing of Ethan Carter, which is a video game.
Yeah, and you can go watch us play it on YouTube, Senior Detectives, our YouTube channel, where you can also watch this in video form, which we forgot to say at the beginning. But
yes,
please go support us on YouTube.
Yeah. Yeah, we're doing complete like video version episodes of the podcast now. So you can come see our cute little faces and watch us cry.
Oh yeah,
over silly things.
Has happened a lot, hasn't it?
We do. I almost got through today without crying. All right. Thanks for joining, guys. See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Many thanks to Kendall for editing our pod and for our lovely theme songs. You can find his work at lounginglapin.com. Thank you to Cozy Snail Designs for our cozy cover art. You can support us on Patreon at patreon.com/senior detectives. We are also on Twitter at SNR_detectives, TikTok at SNR Detectives Pod, and on Instagram at Senior Detectives Pod. See you there.